and good morning. Welcome back to another vlog. We're gonna try something new today. I wanted to do a video just talking about how I'm feeling at 1 year postpartum, because that is where we're at. Alice is turning 1 this week, which is absolutely wild to me. I don't think I've ever had a year go faster in my whole life. So I just have a lot on my mind about it that I want to share with you guys, and I was like, I don't know, maybe I'll film it in my office, maybe I'll film it, you know, a little car chat. And then I was like, you know what, if I'm gonna be carving out some time to film this, why don't I do it while I'm doing something that I love? So I just pulled up at one of my favorite hiking trails, and I am just gonna vlog and stream of consciousness about the past year while I enjoy this hike. It's a beautiful day. Got my sunglasses. I'm gonna bring my headphones. I don't really know if I'm actually gonna be listening to anything because I'm doing this too, but it's a long hike, so might want some background music at some point. Got my key, my phone, my camera, and that's it. Let's go. I love the sound of that little creek running and the birds chirping. It's so peaceful. This hike starts with like a really steep 5-minute uphill climb, and then it's more gradual after that. So I just gotta put my head down for the first part. Pretty wildflowers. Almost past the hard part. So when I was pregnant with Alice, I had a lot of fear about this first year. Like, I felt like if I could get past the first year and then, you know, had 2 toddlers, 2 older kids, like I could do that totally. But the first year, having an infant, having a toddler, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna balance that. Grace was 2 when I got pregnant with Alice, and I had felt like at that time I had really hit my stride in motherhood. Like, Grace and I were having so much fun together. We had such a great routine. I felt like I was in such a good spot. And going back to the infant stage and now splitting my time and my attention between 2 kids, I was really worried that I wouldn't be able to give either of them the love and the attention that I think they deserve. And what I wish I would have known when I was stressing about this in pregnancy was that, while yes, you know, our routine and our life changed so much in having a baby, the drawbacks to that are like this big, and the positives for that are like so much bigger than I could ever show. And like, even when Alice was a little teeny tiny baby, getting to share in that experience with my older child was something so special, and I think also just such like a positive for her. And it also helped, like, even in the moments where I did feel stretched thin and I couldn't give 100% of my attention to Grace because now I was also caring for a newborn, that I also think in some ways was a net positive. It really helped her with her independence and empathy. I worried so much about what having a second kid could possibly take away from my first child, and all it ended up doing was adding endlessly to her life, my life, all of our lives, our family. And I wish I could have known that. And I think it could have made thinking about what this first year would be like, a little less stressful. Now, that being said, looking ahead to this next year, I am really excited for all of the things that come with having a 1-year-old, a kid who can walk and talk. And, you know, I've already started to see glimpses of Grace and Alice getting to play together and do more things together. And also, just for me as a person and as a parent, I feel like I'm built for the toddler stage. Like, there are so many special things that come with having a little tiny newborn and going through that first year of infancy. And I think I did a better job this time around being more present in those stages without just always kind of looking forward to what was next. But I feel like I thrive in the toddler stage, like doing all of the silly things and fun creative activities, and like just getting to talk and have a conversation with your child, hear all the silly little inner workings of their brain. And that's been a really fun part of parenthood for me with Grace, and I'm excited for unlocking all of those new aspects of being a parent to Alice this year. So, also, sorry, I'm gonna be looking down a lot for this next part. Let me show you the current terrain. The hike is hiking. So although I've definitely been excited for this next chapter, I do feel like I did a better job of being present and appreciating each stage that we've been in. And I think a big part of that too has been knowing, or I guess not knowing at first, but now knowing that we're done having kids. When I gave birth to Alice, and really kind of leading up to birth through my pregnancy, Steven and I both were like, we're probably done. Like, we had always said we wanted to have probably 2 or 3 kids. Honestly, I always kind of leaned more towards 3 just because I come from a family of 3 kids. He leaned more towards 2 because he comes from a family of 2 kids, but we're kind of the mindset of like, let's just wait and we'll see how we feel, you know? And because I had a C-section and it was a scheduled repeat C-section, I had the opportunity to get my tubes tied when I delivered Alice, and I chose not to because I didn't feel 100% and I didn't want to close that door and then regret it later. That's such like a final, there's a finality to that. And not only did I not feel 100% ready at that time, but I also just think that's a lot to carry and think about and adjust to when I was also gonna be going through all the postpartum hormones. Like, I just don't think that would have been the right call for me. And even though now I feel pretty confident and very content being done, I'm still glad that I didn't do it then, because I think giving myself this time to really mull it over and know that the option was still there made it super easy to come to this conclusion. And our family just feels so complete and it just feels right. And for Steven and I both, that feeling has only solidified over this past year. So we both feel really confident now, being like, yep, we're done. This is great, this is perfect. And I do have an IUD, so you know, that's not final. We've still got a couple more years if we wanted to change our minds later down the line, but we feel pretty confident in that. So I think an appointment for a little snip is definitely on the horizon for Steven. But yeah, I feel like it's a good feeling to feel like our family is complete. I've heard a lot of women say that, like, you just know when you know. And for some people that's 1 kid, for some that's 2, 3, 4, you know, and for some that's no kids, and that's great too. I think it's such like a personal decision, and also such like a sensitive topic where judgment can come from so many different sides, but it's something that has to come like from like so deeply inside of you, and also obviously being aligned with your partner. And I feel very grateful that Steven and I both are like on exactly the same page as that, because it makes it so easy that we both just look at each other and we're like, oh yeah, this is great. This is awesome. This is perfect in the way that our family was meant to be. So I feel done. And that is, it's a really nice feeling. And I think it's also something that has helped me to be more present and soak up these early stages more, and also get through some of the hard moments, like knowing that this is the last time that we're gonna be doing this. Another aspect of that too is like, you know, I have siblings who have kids and want to have kids, and so looking ahead at having more nieces and nephews, like I want to be able to pour into them. If I'm gonna be having more nieces and nephews in the years down the line and my kids are in school, like I would love to be able to be so involved with them in the extra time that I do have as my kids get older. So yeah, I feel like feeling done and feeling like I want to hold on to every little second of each stage has really helped me be present. And it's so cliche, but it does just go by so freaking fast. Like, I can't believe it's been a year. I look back at pictures of Alice when she was a newborn and I'm like, how did this happen? Like, it's amazing and it's sad and it's wonderful and it's beautiful and it's heartbreaking. And I want to soak in every moment, and I also want to live in this stage and prioritize my kids right now in a way that I can look back on this when I'm old and when my kids are grown and go, I didn't take that for granted and I poured everything I could into my kids. And I think something I've also come to terms with over the last year is not only that it goes so fast, they grow so fast, but also the time that both of my kids are at home before they start school and are, you know, gone 5 days a week is so short. Like, Grace is in preschool now and it's only 2 days a week, half day, but that's the beginning of it. And then she's gonna be in school just more and more over the next couple years for the rest of her life. Well, not the rest of her life, but the rest of her time at home with me. And honestly, that was a big piece of the puzzle for me deciding to stop working. And that has been probably one of the biggest changes in my life over the past year. And it's been such a positive change for me. And you know, I still work a little bit on the vlog. Obviously, I'm doing this right now, Instagram and stuff, but it's very, very part-time and very flexible. So I don't need childcare anymore. I'm home with the kids full time and it's been wonderful. It's been so good for me. I'm absolutely loving it. You know, stepping away from my my main channel. I also had just been burned out on that content for a while. My heart wasn't in it anymore, and also there's just a lot of stress that comes with running a business. And since stepping away from that, although like it was kind of scary to make that choice and make that transition, stepping away from that has been, I've just been so much happier. So it's been so good for me. And even though being home with the kids all the time is hard, it's different hard. And it's the hard that I want to be focused on right now. And I think I found a lot of peace in making that choice. And I want to be super clear too in talking about this, that like I by no means think that everyone should be a stay-at-home mom, and I don't think there's like a right or wrong choice with that. Like different things are gonna work for different families, for different people, and also not everyone gets to make that choice. I'm super privileged that we are able to make it work, and that was a choice that I got to make myself. But for me, at this stage of my life, that was definitely the right choice for me, and I'm so glad that I did it, that I made that change. I'm loving being a stay-at-home mom. It's wonderful and weird and hard, and I just want to cherish every second of it. All right, shifting gears a little bit. Big thing I've been struggling with over the past year that I've had to do a lot of work on is my body image. Like postpartum this time around, I don't know what it was, but it just rocked me. Like I felt so disconnected from myself, so unhappy with my body, so critical of myself too. And it's more than just weight. It's like my body composition is so changed, so different after pregnancy and birth. Like the way that my stomach hangs, the way that my boobs hang, loose skin, stretch marks, everything. And I just had a really hard time with that, and I didn't expect it, because I've been on this like journey of loving myself for like 10 years now. You know, I feel like I really had an epiphany when I was around 19 of just, why am I caring so much about aesthetics? Why am I putting so much of my worth in a size and a number on a scale? Like letting go of that in my 20s was so freeing, and I did a lot of work on myself, dismantling that inner critic. And then all of a sudden, postpartum, I was just right back in that mindset, and it was really jarring. Getting comfortable with my new body was really big and hard, and it was hard feeling like I had no control over that. And I think part of what has helped me with that is just time. Like it takes time to get comfortable with big changes like that. I think also therapy, talking about it and seeking help, and also like talking to Steven when I'm in those bad moments and getting his support and his encouragement. Another big thing I think was just getting back into fitness and starting running. I think that gave me a lot of agency over my body, and also just really helped me to feel more connected to myself again and to appreciate what my body is doing for me. It allowed me to connect with my body in a way that actually wasn't anything about the way my body looked, but just building strength, building endurance, what my body is capable of, and also like hitting those goals and milestones and getting to the point to run a 5K and then a 10K, and now thinking about a half marathon. Like it's given me a new appreciation for my body, and I'm really grateful for that. It's healed a lot of the issues that I was having postpartum, but there's also an element of that like all the working out in the world will not change the way that my stomach looks after having 2 kids. And I need to be okay with that, unless, you know, I had surgery, which no judgment at all to anyone who chooses to go that route. Like your body, your choice in every way. But that's not for me. I don't see myself, you know, going that route, which means that I need to get comfortable with my body being different, and I need to accept that my body is forever changed, and my body shouldn't look the way that it did 5 years ago, because how my body has gone through so much over the last 5 years. You know, it's gone through 4 pregnancies, 2 losses, 2 C-section births. My body is forever changed, and that doesn't need to be a positive or a negative thing. It just is. I've still got a lot of work to do on, you know, accepting my body in that way, getting to a more positive place with my body image, but also I've come so far in the last year, and I'm really proud of myself. Another thing I've been doing a lot of work on over the past year is just being really proactive with my mental health care. That's something that not only do I need to do for myself, but also for my kids, so that I am the best version of myself, and I can be a person that not only do I feel proud of, but that my kids can feel proud of. I can't pour from an empty cup, and if I want to be the best mom I can be, that means keeping my mental health in check. And through that, I've also ended up unpacking a lot of stuff that I didn't realize was still affecting me. Like things that I've gone through that I just kind of shoved in the closet for later, especially my miscarriages. I didn't realize how much that trauma was still affecting me and how much of it I was still carrying every day. I thought I had allowed myself to grieve and process, but I think now looking back on it and having unpacked this more in therapy, I allowed myself to grieve in the moment, but then I kind of expected myself to just pick up and move on, especially once I was able to get pregnant again. It was kind of like, well, now that's in the past and now I get to be a mom, and that's the thing that I've wanted and that I've agonized over and just desperately, deeply wanted. But that trauma, and I wasn't even really comfortable calling it trauma until more recently, that was still really affecting me. And I wish I would have done that work then instead of shoving it in the closet for later. But you know, it also was like a survival technique. Like, that was such a deeply difficult thing for me to go through. And to anyone who is struggling with pregnancy loss or infertility, my heart just absolutely goes out to you. It is the worst club that no one wants to be a part of, and I hate how common it is. It's just awful. And like I said, as much as I tried to just pick up and move on, it still affects me. I just actually passed the 5-year anniversary of my first miscarriage, and that feeling of loss and despair and helplessness is something that like I will never forget, and I will never shake, like deep in my core. Like, I tear up still just like even talking about it. It's just such like a deep pain. And I don't want to get more into it right now, but I wrote something on my Instagram, I think last year, that I'll put on screen here if you want to pause and read, kind of diving more into my reflections on it. But it's hard, and it's a scar that I am going to be carrying with me forever. One thing that happened recently though, with that, is that I told Grace about it for the first time. She was asking me all these questions about when I was pregnant with her and everything surrounding that, and she was like, and you were so excited because it was your first time being pregnant. And I had that moment of like, how should I approach this? You know, do I just smile and nod? Do I tell her? Is she old enough? How can I tell her this in an age appropriate way? Little creek in my path. Maybe I'll just sit here for a minute and continue the chat. This is peaceful, and I have to turn back anyways, unless I want to try to cross this. Maybe I'll try to cross it. But I ended up telling her about it in a very 3-year-old age appropriate way, and I'm really glad I did, because I think she understood it, and she's now brought it up a few times in like a very casual way, and it's actually made me feel very seen, because there is so much like shame and hiding around pregnancy loss that I don't want to uphold for my children, like especially having daughters. I want it to be a part of the conversation. I want it to be normalized, and you know, although it's sad, it doesn't need to be shameful. And it is a big part of my story in becoming a mother, and I'm glad that I had the opportunity to share that with her, and that it was something that she really was ready and able to understand. I feel like I happened upon this little stream at the perfect time, sitting here and talking about this, looking out at this little babbling brook. It's a good place to be. But yeah, all this to say, it has been a wild year. Like, I can't believe it's already been a year. I can't believe I have a 1-year-old and an almost 4-year-old. Like, this era of my life is just flying by, and I just wish I could just slow it down just a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are days when I'm like, could we just speed this up a little bit? Like, I catch myself thinking about a future when I can just sit and read on my Kindle for a couple hours or cook dinner uninterrupted. But I know when that time comes, that's not what I'm gonna want. I'm gonna want this. I'm gonna want the chaos and the loudness and the laughter and the messes and the toys everywhere and the little pitter patter of the feet. And why am I crying? I did it. I made it through the first year. That was like the thing I was so afraid of. I made it through the first year, and I feel more like myself again. I'm a different version of myself. My body's different, my mind is different, my heart is different, my days are different, my work is different, and it's a good different. It's a different that like I would not change for the world. And I'm excited for what's next, but I also at the same time don't want anything to change. Like, Alice is right on the verge of walking, and while I'm so excited for that and that like next era that's gonna be unlocked with her toddling around, I'm also gonna be so sad to never have a crawling baby again, to be done with that era of my life. Like, it's gonna be wonderful when I don't have to have pack and play in the bathroom so that I can shower and a gate around the stairs so that she isn't always trying to climb them, but it's also gonna be sad to move on from all of those things. And I feel like that is the tragic give and take of motherhood, being so excited for what's next, getting tired of one stage, being so excited to move on from bottles and diapers, and then when that actually happens, being so nostalgic for that time. So this is me 1 year postpartum with my probably last baby, and I just could not feel more fulfilled and more content. So that being said, I gotta walk back to my car now, get back to my kids, get back to motherhood. Should I try to cross the little stream? I kind of want to try. That seems fun. I'm using a little rock as a tripod. Oh God. All right, y'all, that is gonna be it for this vlog. Let me know if you prefer the car chat or the hike chat, because I'm gonna be yapping either way, but I don't know. Hike chat, definitely more enjoyable for me. Also, I feel like it was easier for me to just kind of stream of consciousness as the thoughts came without having to sit down and do it all in one go. But also car chat, easier logistically. So let me know if you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye.